I'm Tashima Jones, and I truly believe personal development and intention lead each and every one of us to our inner greatness. I am so grateful your journey has led you all the way here. Welcome to LifeClub with me, Tashima Jones. Welcome. Super excited that you are tuning in to LifeClub with me, Tashima Jones. This podcast is truly a journey where we cover specific topics and provide practical tips and tools to be applied until the next episode. For our brief disclaimer, this content should not be taken as professional medical advice, treatment, or diagnosis. With that being said, let's dive in. Today, we are focusing on how to be surer of yourself. It may seem strange, but oftentimes many people find it challenging to simply be themselves. Like always, we are going to start with our definitions. When we know the definition of a thing, we are fully equipped to using it properly. Up first is authentic. So our definition for authentic is principled and genuine, and it's associated with the word authenticate, which means to verify and establish the credibility of a thing. Our next definition is identity. Identity is sameness, oneness, and states of being the same. Up next is value. So a value is to think highly of a thing. It is the price that's equal to the intrinsic value or worth of something or someone. And last but not least is self-esteem. And the definition that I've kind of adopted for this term called self-esteem is simply the value you see in yourself. Again, our words for today's episode are authentic, identity, value, and self-esteem. Our definitions are really key reasons why so many people find it difficult to show up as their true selves. When you consider being authentic or authenticity, people really don't understand what that genuinely means. I think sometimes we take it as being aggressive or with this ideology of this is just who I am. And oftentimes people don't really take the time to know who they truly are to even start to begin to show up as themselves. So when we think about authenticating a thing, we are really looking for its genuine value. We're looking for the true nature of a thing. We're looking for the original of a thing. When you consider luxury products, specifically luxury handbags, there are literally people who take time to verify whether or not this bag is the real deal, if you will. And the same is true for who we are as individuals. So taking time to really understand who you are on the inside, not necessarily who you are on the surface level. And that includes your representative as well as your physical body and material assets. Who are you on the inside? What are your core beliefs? What are your core values? What do you hold important? What makes you laugh? What type of food do you enjoy? All of these things go into authenticating your true self. Next is identity. Oftentimes, we find ourselves identifying with things that aren't really true to who we are. And that identity can come from your culture, can come from your upbringing, can come from the school you attend, or the office place that you work in. A lot of times people have these surface level conversations for the sake of conversation and not necessarily for the truth of a thing. So it's so important and so vital for you to start to look for the things that you identify with. Again, a lot of people tend to identify with the things that are in their environments and not what's on the inside. And I think it's very, very important to mention that your experiences and your environment don't have to shape you. We tend to grow up in a world, in a culture, in a society where we're called to adapt to what's around us versus changing and influencing what's around us. So when you find yourself doing things that don't necessarily ring true to who you are, that's like a check in your inner being to really say, this I don't necessarily identify with. And so I need to find what's true to me and identify with that. I need to see myself in the things that I'm listening to. I need to see myself in the things that I'm watching. I need to see myself in the people that I'm associating with. And again, it's far beyond the surface level idea of what you physically look like or the material possessions that you have. It's really finding and aligning with the things that are true to your inner being. So identity, once again, is sameness. What are you identifying with? Are you identifying with the trauma that you experience? Or are you identifying with the person on the inside who overcame that trauma, who worked through that trauma? Are you identifying with a negative and toxic environment? Or are you identifying with the desires of your heart that are uplifting and pure and noble and of good report? Really start to pay attention to what has your attention. Really start to pay attention to what you draw near to and what or who you allow to draw near to you. Now, for our value. So again, we spoke about value being the price of a thing. And when you consider value, I think it's important for us to consider what we would give in exchange for a thing or a person. We speak about compromise. We speak about boundaries. We speak about all of these things that kind of set up our relationships, or the things that we won't do and the things that we will do. And that's really all a part of our value system. What is it that you value? Do you value who you are as a person? And a lot of times we don't. And I think that's how we find ourselves caught up in situations that we aren't happy with, because they didn't begin with the value of self. They didn't begin with the value of the inner being, of your core beliefs and the things that you hold true, the things that you hold important. And in that same breath, a lot of times the things that we hold true are not necessarily true. Again, doing that life work to really authenticate yourself, to really find out the real you, the you that you were created to be. And once you find that person, it's almost like a compass into how you do business, into how you do relationships, into how you handle your finances, into how you handle yourself, what you eat, what you, again, expose yourself to when it comes to entertainment, how you pursue life, how you pursue your dreams and aspirations, what your dreams and aspirations are all together. So going back to authenticating who you are on the inside really ties in to your value system. Again, it's super important to know your core values, because those are the driving forces of how you show up in the world. And the value you place on the things that you hold true can dictate how you do business. It also deals with indecisiveness and procrastination, because if you know your core values, some things are just an easy yes and no. And last but not least, self-esteem. Self-esteem. When we consider this term, when we consider those two words being coupled and married together, we have to realize that self-esteem is literally your view of yourself, not what other people think about you, not the opinions of culture, not how many likes you get on social media, not what college you went to, not what career path you're on, not who you're married to or your social circles. But self-esteem is literally the value that you hold true and place on yourself. And I think when we work with that definition of self-esteem, it really reads out the opinions of others. It really reads out this concept of being perfect in the eyes of man. It really takes off the pressure that we are so exposed to on a daily basis when it comes to who we are as individuals. And it's vital, so vital for you to understand that you are an individual before you are a member of society, before you are a member of a social club or your community, even your family and close friends. And again, it's important for you to understand that the more of yourself you are, the more you give permission to the people around you to be themselves. And the more of yourself you become, and the more of yourself you show on the surface level, the more you will align with certain people. There are certain people attached to your personality. There are certain people attached to your purpose. There are certain people attached to who you genuinely are. But if you're a representative of this false identity that you allow to show up in your daily experiences continues to run the show, that false identity will create your experiences. It will create your environment. It will create the spaces and places and the rooms that you walk into. So if you want to genuinely live the life that was created for you, you have to genuinely become the person that you were created to be. Now, with that being said, I wanted to dive into, let me think, which direction do I want to go in? Okay, so there are some key points that I write down because it's something that I really want you to take away. So I'm going to read this note that I've made. The primary key in becoming surer of yourself is getting to know yourself. This followed by embracing who you are to the point where being someone else is not an option. The more time you spend being your authentic self, the more natural being yourself becomes. I think I need to say that again. The primary key in becoming surer of yourself is getting to know yourself. This followed by embracing who you are to the point where being someone else is no longer an option. The more time you spend being your authentic self, the more time you spend showing up to your friends, to your family, to your spouse, to your mate, to your co-workers, to your employees, to the people that you cross in the market, at the mall, wherever it is that you frequent. When you show up as your authentic self, and the more you show up as your authentic self, the more natural being yourself becomes. Again, self-esteem is the value or the opinion that, and I don't like using that word opinion, but hopefully that kind of drives the point home, because I think sometimes we live life based on other people's opinions and we don't necessarily discover our own. So again, self-esteem is the value or the opinion that you place on yourself. Value is the price that you place on a thing or an idea of a thing. Identity is sameness, oneness. What are you finding yourself being attracted to? And what are you attracting to yourself? And I want to make a point in this concept of attraction and alignment, oftentimes we might be in a process. Like when you are excavating your soul, when you're excavating the inner being, you are going to spend a lot of time rooting out things that don't belong there. So I want to encourage you not to be discouraged if the surface level, or what I call the five sensory realm, doesn't necessarily look like the reality that's on the inside of you. If you spend so many years being someone else, it's going to take a few weeks at least to really dive in, dig out, uproot, and plant the reality of who you are. So when I speak about identity and attraction, when I speak about alignment, don't necessarily use the five sensory realm or the surface level, the things that we see with our natural eyes and hear with our natural ears. Don't let that be a discouragement. It takes time. Finding your true self takes time, even though he or she has been there all along. And to authenticate, remember, to authenticate a thing is to find the original version of this thing. Is this legit? Is this bag legit? Or is it a counterfeit? Is it something that was made in some random factory somewhere? Again, authentication, which is a process that's heavy in the luxury brand industry, is finding the original. And that's what you need to do. And that's what the life work is. It's really digging in to find who you truly are. Now we're going to go to our life work. So I want you to first be sure to visit tashimajones.com to download a free worksheet on how to be yourself. And make sure you complete that worksheet over the next 10 days. Giving yourself a time frame is really helpful. It's not about pressure, it's about intention. And we may find ourselves in agreements with other people, and in those agreements, we show up early and we leave late. But when it comes to agreements with ourselves, we tend to procrastinate or just brush it off. And that goes into your self-esteem. What is the value that you place on yourself? What is the opinion that you have of yourself? Are you worthy of keeping a commitment, an agreement that you made with yourself? And I'm going to give you the answer right now. It is yes. So make sure you complete the worksheet over the next few days. Now, the worksheet will be printable, but I do recommend that you complete the worksheet activities in a journal. That's super important. Making sure you keep a written copy of your journey is so important. And I always say that writing a thing is one of the first steps in manifesting that thing in the five sensory realm. The other is speaking it. I think we can have so many dreams, so many hopes, so many desires locked up on the inside of us, and giving voice to those things and making sure they are pure. And again, that is another reason why finding your inner being is so important, because you start to discover your true dreams and aspirations and desires, and not the dreams of your representative. So again, make sure you keep a written copy and just document your journey of self-discovery. And the second part of your life work is asking the following questions. Up first is, what are my core beliefs? What do I genuinely believe? And you're going to find that some of the things you believe are not even true. But that's really helpful, because then you can start to remove those false beliefs and replace them with true beliefs. You can believe something that is not true. And when you discover that, don't panic. Just start to discover the truth and replace it. Replace that void. Next, as you can see, I'm super excited about this. I have a lot to say, and I'm trying to stay on topic So this is why I write things down. Okay, so the next question is, what type of people and content am I attracted to? Again, what do I find myself aligning with? What type of people are showing up in my space? What type of intimate relationships am I building with other people? What type of relationships, intimate relationships, am I building with ideas? And what type of relationships am I building with social media feeds? Literally everything is a relationship. Not only do we have relationships with people, but we have a relationship with ourselves. We have a relationship with the spirit realm. We have a relationship with the books that we read, the magazines that we consume, the people we follow. Relationship is literally a vehicle that we are connected to or on that gets us from one place to another. And that one place to another can be in mind or in the physical. So again, what type of people and content, ideas, so forth and so on, am I attracted to? And do they align with who I am? Or do they align with who I believe I am? And the next question is, has my self-esteem been rooted in other people's opinions or in what I value and embrace about myself? Again, has my self-esteem been rooted in other people's opinions or in what I value and embrace about myself? And that question can also be geared towards, has my self-esteem been rooted in my work or in material possessions or in my academic career or in my social circles? Again, you can kind of fill in the blank when it comes to people's opinions, because again, you'll find that you have a relationship with a lot of these things and it's just in your subconscious. Excuse me. And then the last question is, how can I be better at valuing myself? And the easiest way to really value yourself is to get to know yourself. A lot of people don't know themselves and they spend so much time and energy, they put so much effort into trying to get other people to like them, trying to get other people to literally like them, like literally double tap on their videos and images. And excuse me, it's kind of difficult to get someone to like you if you don't like you. And the more you start to like yourself and know yourself, you're not going to have this strong, intense desire for other people to like you. And I think that's so vital, especially in the culture, in the day and age that we are in. Other people liking you is literally a measure of success. And it's a really slippery slope, excuse me, and dangerous space to be in, because if you don't know yourself, no matter how many other people like or love you, you still have to look yourself in the mirror. You still have to go to sleep with yourself and wake up with yourself. You cannot get away from yourself. So why not befriend yourself? Why not like yourself? Why not dismantle the toxic and negative things that you may see or believe about yourself and find out who you genuinely are? Because I truly believe when you discover who you genuinely are, the value that you place on yourself is inevitable and it's effortless. So again, let me run through these questions for your life work one more time. And I encourage you to write these questions down and then just speak them forth, speak them out loud, and wait for the answers. Do not try to come up with the answers in your own strength. Because I think if you are just starting out on this journey, the lie may appear, or what you genuinely desire may appear, but that still might not be true at this phase in your journey and in your walk. So I encourage you to ask the questions out loud and write them in your journal, and then just be silent and just wait for the answer to bubble up to the surface. With that being said, I'm going to run through these questions one more time. What are my core beliefs? What type of people and content am I attracted to? And do they align with who I believe I am or who I genuinely am? Has my self-esteem been rooted in other people's opinions or in what I value and embrace about myself? And last but not least, how can I be better at valuing myself? And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you were here with me, and for that, I am truly grateful. Be sure to visit tashimajones.com for life coaching sessions, as well as how to join Life Club. And you can also find all of my contact and social media information there. Until next time, remember your greatness. Talk soon.